Hey everybody, Armored Auto here, and today I wanted to try a little bit of theory crafting by giving you my top 3 most anticipated builds with the upcoming Necromancer class. Now keep in mind, everything that we know so far about the Necromancer class tree is subject to change, and we haven't even seen all the skills yet, so depending on the final iteration of the tree, some of these builds might get more or less powerful, or have a few more tools to play with. Also keep in mind that these aren't the 3 builds that I think are going to be the most powerful, just the 3 builds that I am the most eager to try. And I really like to play janky shit. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Number 3 on the list is the Reaper, which is a Nightblade Necromancer. In this build, we're going to focus on cold and poison damage with a little bit of pierce damage mixed in. The Nightblade tree is going to be our primary focus, relying on Necromancer as a support. The dual wield tree offers our build a ton of damage, but we're going to focus on dual blades for the boost to cold damage, and Nidala's hidden hand for the flat poison damage, as well as the handy convert pierce to poison. The rest of the skills in this tree get points until they reach their maximum proc chance. Veil of Shadow gets a few points for the radius increase, but Night's Chill gets as many points as possible for the resistance shred. We're going to mostly ignore the passives at the bottom of the tree, except for Merciless Repertoire, which gives us handy boosts to all of our major damage types. For active skills, we're going to use the ever-useful Pneumatic Burst, Ring of Steel with a Transmuter for some potent CC, Shadow Strike as our gap closer, and a single point into Blade Barrier as an oh shit button. Necromancer is going to give us a little love for our primary damage types, as well as some additional CC, and some much needed survivability. Necrotic Edge seems like it will fit nicely, offering us another auto attack proc that deals frost damage. Hungering Earth will nicely benefit from our poison damage modifier, giving our build some strong AoE and another source of resistance shred. Ill Omen is an ability that deals cold damage and lifesteal to nearby enemies while fearing them. It seems like a nice option for CC if we decide Ring of Steel isn't enough. Finally, we're going to use Mark of Torment, where we bind our soul to an enemy as an additional survivability cooldown, and if we're feeling particularly janky, we can try to squeeze in a Blight Feed, which would probably be terrible, but it would be thematic as fuck. Number 2 on our list is the Ritualist, which is Necromancer plus Shaman. This build will focus on cold and vitality damage primarily, and we'll use a 2-handed weapon. In the Shaman tree, we're going to put 1 point in Brute Force, simply so we can unlock Feral Rage, and then skill it up to get a maximum proc rate. Our other passives include Modrigan's Pact for the bonus health, and Primal Bond for the damage absorption. If the Necromancer gets a more fitting exclusive skill, then we'll go for that one instead of Primal Bond. For actives, we're going to use a maxed out Wendigo totem because it's OP, and either a Storm totem with a Vitality modifier, or Wind Devil for a source of cold damage and resistance shred. If we find ourselves lacking in damage, we can spend a few points in Savagery, even though it does not fit in with our primary damage types. Necromancer gives us Necrotic Edge, which will give us another source of cold and vitality damage on our auto attacks. Bone Harvest will supply us with AoE cold and vitality damage, as well as a nice slow for kiting. Ill Omen will be this build's only form of hard CC, but hopefully between all the tanky buffs and the lifesteal, that won't be too big of a problem. Finally, we'll use Mark of Torment as a survivability cooldown. The cherry on top of this build is the Scourge Relic, which gives us a heaping handful of all the stats that we want, as well as a super powerful attack that freezes up to 3 targets and steals a ton of health. Finally, my most anticipated Necromancer build is the Spellbinder, which is Arcanist and Necromancer. This particular build aims to do a mixture of Aether and Vitality damage through spells and melee attacks. The Arcanist is going to be almost entirely for support, offering Iskandras for additional damage and mana regen, Mavens for survivability, and Reckless Power for damage. A single point in both Mirror and Nullification gets you great utility and a panic button. The only damage skill I'd consider necessary is Devastation, as I think this build might be weak on AoE, plus it's hella rad. Olexra's Flash Freeze and Kalidor's Tempest with the Transmuter can also be considered for CC. Kalidor gives us better damage, while Olexra's gives us harder CC for large groups. Necromancer is where we get all the fun stuff. Reaping Strike is an auto attack proc that deals both Aether damage and Vitality damage while draining life and energy back to your character. The energy leech from this, coupled with Iskandras, will give you plenty of energy to drain Essence, a channeled Aether Vitality damage spell that drains life from your enemies back to your hero. Spectral Binding and Spectral Wrath is a passive buff that not only gives you health, Aether damage, vitality damage, and life leech, but also gives you a passive proc that deals damage and shreds both Aether and vitality resistance. Finally, Reap Spirit is a huge single target nuke that also summons a ghost. And I think that's pretty dang neat. Well, that about does it for my top 3 most anticipated Necromancer builds. If you liked this video, say Olexra's Flash Freeze 5 times in front of a mirror. Olexra's Flash Freeze. Olexra's Flash Freeze. Blah, blah. Or post in the comments which Necromancer build you're most excited to try out. No wrong answers. Even pet build, you fucking casual. I want to thank Crate for making this excellent game, and I also want to thank Reddit user random__ for putting together a comprehensive spreadsheet of all expansion info, which I'll link in the comments. It was incredibly crucial to making this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.